Hey everyone, welcome back to another Class 1A video. My name is Andrew Nimskern, and alongside me, I have Dylan Beal to go through 10 things that we are excited to actually see in Season 5 of My Hero Academia, which means there will be spoilers if you are an anime-only fan. Last Monday, we did do a spoiler-free version of this, of top 10 things based off the trailer, Season 4 questions, all that. So if you're only up to Season 4 in the anime, go and watch that video. If you are caught up in the manga or read ahead at least a little bit, this is going to be the video for you. We're getting exactly into which chapters you need to make sure you've read before we spoil anything else for you. But this is going to have some spoilers for the anime, so make sure you're at least ready for that. But Dylan, Season 5 is less than 2 weeks away. You ready?
I'm ready. I want it here already. I'm so hyped for it.
I cannot wait either, which is why the first thing of the 10 things I want to talk through today is going to be which arcs are going to be covered in Season 5. I think it's almost locked, obviously, based on all of the trailers. The joint arc is going to be training, and then at least most, if not all, of the paranormal liberation arc is going to be included as well. The big question is going to be if we make it all the way through that, which I think is pretty much a safe bet, and then if the Endeavor arc is included, if it's cut halfway off, or if we even get a little past that. What are your thoughts or kind of guesses where it's going to go?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good guess. I think the bulk of it is going to be the training arc and the what is it, meta liberation arc? Is that the name of it?
Um, yes, the Meta
Yeah,
Liberation arc.
the liberation arc is definitely going to be there. It's going to be like the other bulk of it. I'm trying to think of what works best, and I think it's cutting the Endeavor arc in half. Or maybe, like, using the end of the Endeavor arc to tease the next season. I think that makes the most sense.
I'm kind of going through it right now. 63. Last one accounted for about 68 chapters, which would be a little more than the joint training arc, the Meta Liberation arc, and the Endeavor Agency arc. That only accounts for what 47, about 59 chapters. So that would actually be less chapters than what happened in
Hmm.
Season 4. The only thing is though that like for the Pro Hero arc, it was a 10 chapter arc, but there's only 2 episodes on it. We didn't get any of the Dobby Hawks Endeavor interaction, so some of that might kind of be like part of the first episode of Season 5 cuz that was an interaction and that kind of does sets up so I guess for anything going forward. So now that we believe it's going to go through at least the Endeavor arc, that goes to about chapter 252 of the manga. So as long as you're past that, there'll be no spoilers for you here. There might be a little references here or there because we are totally covering mangas. It's a little spoiler free, but you should be mostly good at reading up to 252. But that sets up kind of the idea, or at least I think there's a flashback actually during those chapters of Hawks talking to Dobby about being a double agent. So that's
Yeah.
a pretty big setup that happens throughout all of season 5. So if that doesn't appear early on in the season, it might feel weird just appearing 20, 30 chapters into the season.
Yeah. So I think that will definitely be, like, earlier on, and the thing that My Hero does is they don't have a consistent, like, chapter conversion rate to episodes, and so it
Exactly.
switches around a lot. So I know, some of the other arcs in season 4, they were, not one-to-one with the chapters, but they were pretty long in terms of covering it. But the Hasaki raid arc was actually, like, a lot of chapters condensed down into a couple episodes.
Yeah.
Like, they really cranked through those.
I
So
think it was like
I think
41 chapters converted to 13, 14 episodes.
yeah, so if they space it out in the right way, I think getting the end of the Pro Hero arc, all the way up until the Endeavor arc and covering most of the Endeavor arc, will kind of solidify the season pretty well.
Yeah, and I think it comes down to the joint training arc, how quickly they go through that. Because that is 24 chapters, but if they wrap that up in 3 episodes, well, we could be getting more than we think just because of
Mhm.
it's all battling. So obviously, with a manga chapter, it's going to take much longer for that. You want to make sure it's seen. With animation, that can go by a lot quicker if they want it to. So I think that'll definitely set the pace for the season. But
Yeah, I would say I'm a little worried though, because if they go a little bit too fast and we get too much in there, then we get into the dangerous territory of we're getting too close to the actual manga chapters, and then they're gonna probably have to put in like a waiting season for the chapters to come out. And
yeah,
I
I
just hope I just want the consistent. I just want the consistent anime. So
no, I agree. But Dylan, what's the first thing you're excited for? Or the second thing on this list?
Gego Machia He rules. He's awesome. I want to see him. I don't know. It was really cool in the ways that they teased him because they teased him super super early on. I think the end of season 3, they actually teased him for the first time. We don't know anything. It's just like I think they're just talking about Gran Torino going up into the mountains or something. And then we're like, oh, what? And then in season 4, we actually get the super super old flashback, the Kirishima flashback,
Yep.
where we see this mysterious man, think nothing of him, and then all of a sudden he shows up and he's huge.
Yep.
He's giant. And then he just gets out of control in the next couple arcs coming up. So I want to see more of him.
Yeah, he has plays an absolutely pivotal part from the manga from here on out, pretty much. So I think it's super interesting. The whole League of Villains just continuing to fight him, getting 3 hours of breaks, and that he's just pretty much unkillable. And he's like, "Yeah, you're the new master, kinda, but I don't respect you. So I'm just gonna beat the shit out of you till you beat me, and then I'll respect you." Like it's just such. It is kind of like a very common trope that you've seen of someone like, "Oh, you have to prove your strength." But I think this does it a really cool way. And especially with it being a focus on the villains rather than heroes, I think it's even cooler because it's not traditionally that way that the villains are
Yeah.
trying to get an ace in their pocket rather than the heroes trying to convert a villain or a staying like middle ground character. Like, no, this guy's totally evil, but he only cares about all for one. So if you don't meet up to that standards, I don't care and I'll just kill you all.
Hmm.
So that'll be super, super excited. And I think the next thing we have to really talk about is obviously going to be Black Whip. I
Oh,
mean,
the reveal.
they've been teasing this so much, and especially where the manga's going, like the idea that Deku can inherit more quirks is so cool. And how it comes out just bursting, literally bursting out of him in the middle of the arc, going against, I think, Shinzo's, who was fighting at that moment, is so cool. I think the animation on it is going to be harsh and just so different than anything else we've seen to really make it clear that this is a completely different quirk than Deku's original. And I'm so excited for that reveal. And I forget how they like message that to like Deku just magically getting a second character to everyone else in the class.
Yeah, I actually kind of forget about that because it happens and everyone's like, Deku, what's going on?" And he's like, I don't know." And then they have, I think right after that is where we switch POVs and then they do their own like little training thing and we get the broccoli hair Deku.
Yep.
Isn't that where it happens?
I don't remember exactly where that is, honestly. I remember the broccoli hair Deku, but I know that was
But
a
yeah,
while
I
ago.
think that reveal, I'm so excited for the when the episode ends, I get to go online and read everyone talking about it who got it revealed for the first time because when I read that, like I like had to put the chapter down. I was like, I cannot believe this. Like it's such a cool turn for the story.
Yeah, so that's going to be incredibly cool and sets it up for so much more things in the future. But Dylan, what do you got for number 4?
I have My Villain Academia. This was one of my favorite parts about getting caught up on the manga is turning the page, you know, the metaphorical page, of course, because I'm reading it on like a pad or whatever. And I see My Villain Academia, the cover takeover, the title or whatever, and it's so cool because we switch POVs and we get a ton of chapters of just villain stuff. And I think they're such interesting characters and they're so cool. And the story that they build up from here on out is just super awesome. So I hope we do have a similar style like takeover of the
I hope
show.
there's a new opener for it. Like they
Yeah.
should change everything for this arc here. I mean, I
Yes.
think it'd be a good cutting point for it. And then even if they had a new opener after that, like I definitely think to fit the tonal shift, because we don't see the heroes for like 20 or 30 chapters. There is no talk of Deku, anything like that. Like during this the Metal Liberation arc, like it is all on the villains and the Metal Liberation Army. So if we like, I don't even want to see Deku in the opener for this one. Like I wanted
Yes.
that different.
I want like a like a Tokyo Ghoul style opener of where it's like dark, it's gritty,
Edgy
it's
as
super
shit.
edgy.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that would just be so cool.
That would play so cool into it. And I guess playing into the next thing on the list is going to be the Quirk evolutions that come in that arc. What the hell? Satman's parade. Toga being able to use, I guess we see Ochako's quirk here, but the ability that she can use the quirks of anyone's blood she takes. And then Shigaraki being able just to blast his disintegration just with ease. holy shit, like you see, like this feels like a different level of Quirk evolution that we've not seen ever. Like we see Deku learn different ways of using his quirk, using the air blast, or other people like finding unique ways to take advantage of this quirk. This is legitimately quirk evolution, at least in Shigaraki and Toga, while Twice is just going to the extreme.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be a super important point for, like, the meta discussions around, My Hero. So, like, we always talk about quirk singularity is an important thing. I think this quirk evolution, whatever it is, like, one of those points that it might not be super, like, important to the story overall besides, they're getting new powers. It's something to take out and think about for later, I think. I think it's gonna come up again.
I think it's going to come up again that someone in extreme stress or anger, which is pretty much all what's happening in the current manga right now with no spoilers, is going to, I think, rear its head again for sure. And this definitely sets it up for the future. What do you got for next?
Next, I got Redestro. I really like him. I like the callbacks to like old villain stuff. Like I like hearing about the old days. So we first heard about Destro, the old Destro. I think it was during this season, right? Um,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes, it's gone. It was gentle.
yeah, yeah. So Gentle like kind of mentioned him and some other old villains, and this is where we meet Redestro, which is like he's going to be like the new Destro, and one of his power is really scary. It's really scary on how he like gets super huge and stuff, and I really like the drawing around it. But he's also kind of like a really cool villain. I think My Hero has these like secondary villains that Shigaraki plays off of, like overhaul. And then now Redestro super super well, and I like their plans. I also like what do they call it? Meta abilities. They don't call
Yes.
them quirks; they call them meta abilities. I kind of like that. I think it's pretty funny.
Yeah. And that this is one of those villain. It's another villain trope that we see at time that he has the two sides where one he's like the head of the biggest hero item business in the world or whatever like that, but also the villain on the backside, and also that it is scary to think that this man has built a giant city of a cult like following army.
Yeah.
And that's what the League of Villains go up against. Just that he is not messing around. And then, yeah, he does play off very well against Shigaraki. And there's going to be some really cool animation moments around him and just the whole Meta Liberation Army in general. And I guess what I have next is going to be the Vestige State animated, which we're going to see not a ton of, but multiple moments in season 5. And it gets to be such a big part of the series of how they're going to do it. We get a small glimpse of it at the end of season 4, but just really flushing that out and just seeing and getting people's reactions, I think, is part of why some of these are on the list, is seeing the reaction of non-manga readers when it comes and kind of realizing what is happening, that Deku was just talking to the previous holders, is so cool, and what it opens up for the future, the conversations that Deku get to have. Vestige State is nothing unique, but still one of my favorite parts of the series, and I think that's why I'm so excited to see it in season 5.
Yeah, I really like it because it's like the some like the abstract drawings that Horikoshi does. Like it's not real life. It's like in this like ethereal plane, and so he has to like draw these like unique panels. And I think animated, it's going to be incredible. There's a couple people that color My Hero Academia after it comes out who've done incredible things with it. So I have full faith that the animated is going to be just unreal to look at.
Oh, unbelievable. But you have 2 left on your list. What do you want to go with for next?
I'm gonna go with one that it's basically the same reason why I'm excited for the Vestige State animation, and it's the Shigaraki origin story. One, he has a really cool origin story. It's very tragic, and so seeing it is gonna be, very it's gonna be big for the character, I think.
Yes.
But the thing I'm most excited for is those abstract visuals that they do. They have like panels of like these big like crumbling buildings and Shigaraki like moving through them, and animated, this is going to be, it's going to be crazy. It's absolutely going to be crazy. Horikoshi has done just beautiful beautiful panels in the last 100 or so chapters, and seeing them animated is going to be so cool. They're going to be very iconic. Think of back in season 4, kind of those abstract pictures of like overhaul with the big wings
Yep.
kind of like looming over Airy. Imagine
That
that,
to
but
an
like
extreme.
that to an extreme and multiple scenes of it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
Man, I'm realizing now how the villains definitely have the coolest moments coming up here. Like
Yeah, they
there's
do.
some good like progression for the heroes in the Endeavor arc. Like there's not too many really cool moments from it, but it's good growth for a lot of the characters and everyone getting work studies. But the villain moments in this upcoming season are going to be bonkers. And I definitely agree Shigaraki Origins are going to be some of the best ones. But my last one, which is kind of coming back to heroes, is seeing this is one of my favorite. It's a smaller moment in the series, but Class B's reaction, like, oh fuck moment, when they realized that Bakugo was actually working with his team in the joint arc training, is not only such a big moment for Bakugo of saying, like, yeah, I don't really need you, but I still admit enough that we should at least work together to win, is such a big moment for Bakugo's character,
Mhm.
but also seeing that Class 1B never thought in 1,000 years that would ever happen, and then it comes back to bite them in the ass so quickly. I just love the moment. It's just such a fun one that it was one of the first things I read after actually started to read the manga for the first time. So seeing that growth and moment just has always stuck with me. So I love any Bakugo moments, but there's some good growth for Bakugo in season 5 coming up, despite not getting a ton of screen time, we're assuming.
Yeah, we're not gonna see him too much from that moment on, just because we kind of do switch over to the villains for a while. But this is like a big change in Bakugo. This is where, well, I would argue probably the end of season 4 is where he does the pivot. But this is the pivot point. Bakugo becomes like actually working with his team, and he becomes incredibly, incredibly dangerous because of it. He
Yeah.
is so strong.
So then we get to see him. He'll be in the Endeavor Agency arc, and then there still might be like an episode on the wrapping up of the provisional licenses because they still have to do
Mhm.
like that fight against Gang Orca or whatever. So we'll get a little bit more of him, but still not as much because he has not shown up in season 4 or 5. We're not expecting too much, but
Yeah.
all right, Dylan, you got one left. How are you gonna wrap up the list? The 10 things we're excited to see in season 5.
So the last one I have, and it is last because I think this character is going to be on a lot of people's list for character of the year after the season is done. And that of course is Hawks. Because oh my god, Hawks like was barely in any of the season 4 episodes, like just a couple at the very end, and people are already in love with him. This is like the reason why he is such a cool character coming up in season 5. He's amazing. His whole like quadruple agent kind of stuff going on between the heroes and the villains is super super cool to see unravel and unfold. And he's just like a really powerful character that plays off of Endeavor super super well. So and also his voice actor is incredible for both English and Japanese. So
Yes. Yeah, I love Hawks as a character, and especially knowing everything I do now up to it. But his jumping back and forth, the moment of him being a double agent, talking to Davi, and then having that interaction with Endeavor, still like it's just such a unique character that every time he appears in a chapter, I am so excited because he never stays too long. He never has a bad panel. Really, he says what he needs to do, and Horikoshi treats him very sparingly. He never overuses Hawks, which is
mhm.
what makes him such a fun character when he appears, especially not really having an idea of what side he's on through all of season 5 makes it even better. So every time he appears and you get that one little snippet of trying to put together the puzzle of if he's a double agent, a triple agent, a quadruple agent, if he's working for someone totally else, is what is going to be so cool of seeing Hawks in season 5 and all the theories of anime only watchers. I cannot wait to see of them making their guesses each time of which side he's actually on.
It's gonna be awesome.
But all of season 5 is going to be awesome. And I know these are just 10 moments that we picked out here. So if there are other moments that you're really excited to see in season 5, let us know down in the comments below. We could do another video if there's a 3,000 comments that you guys really want to see us talk about. But there's so many cool things coming up in season 5. These are just a couple of them. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe as we are kind of doing our season 5 build up right now. We've done a spoiler free and now our spoiler version of top 10 things we're excited to see. We did a season 4 recap this Saturday on the Class 1A podcast. You can find that at YouTube or podcasting services. That gets you caught up on everything season 4. And then this Saturday is going to be our last pre-season 5 piece of content, which is going to be a season 5 primer, asking the big questions and just kind of getting everyone prepared going into season 5 that is less than 2 weeks away. So thank you all so much for watching this video and enjoying any Class 1A content, and we will see you all next